sports.
We are the Fourth. We are Florida.
This is a big weekend in Atlanta. Braves and Marlins, a 4-game series, and on a Saturday night, a lively crowd to see the legends in Braves history. Alumni weekends. Yeah, Greg Maddux. Chipper Jones went yard in the alumni softball game. Hit a bomb. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz, along with Tommy Hutton. For the Miami Marlins, they're obviously struggling. They've dropped 5 in a row, 12 of the last 14. And the news didn't get any better this morning when Jose Fernandez announced that he had a stiff right shoulder. Jose has returned to Miami to be examined. Just another blow in what has been a really rough season.
Yeah, when you're struggling the way the Marlins have, it's the last thing you want to hear. Evidently, when Jose woke up this morning, there was some stiffness in the shoulder. Let's hope it was just that.
Jessica Blaylock will have more before first pitch. Let's talk about the first pitch for both sides. For Tom Kohler, he'd like to erase his last start, though he has pitched well on the road of late.
Well, the one thing in baseball, there are no mulligans. You can't erase it, but you can just go back out there every 5th day. Tom Kohler's been a nice workhorse. He's gone 6 or more innings, 15 of his 20 starts. He's had 9 starts this year where he's gone 6 or more innings, given up 2 or fewer runs. He's pitched well here at Turner Field, so I think this is a good matchup for TK tonight.
One guy that has given him trouble, A.J. Pierzynski. Pierzynski is hot right now, and he is in the lineup tonight for the Braves.
Pierzynski against Kohler, 5 for 9 with a couple of home runs, and you bet he is in the lineup. And how about Pierzynski catching Mike Foltynewicz, the 23-year-old right-hander for Atlanta?
The all-syllable battery. Now, Foltynewicz is a young starter. Remember in the offseason, all those Braves trades. The Evan Gattis trade with Houston. He was an Astro, now a Brave.
Yeah, he was a first-round pick of the Astros, came over in that deal. You and I were talking earlier, he allowed 4 home runs to the Giants. Brandon Crawford took him deep twice in his last outing, so he's trying to rebound from that one.
We'll try to rebound as well. Saturday night in the South, Miami and Atlanta. More on Jose Fernandez when we return as the Fish and the Braves get set to go from the TED. dropped the first 2 of this series, and the news got worse this morning. Jessica Blaylock has more.
Yeah, that's right, Rich. The news got much worse this morning when it comes to Jose Fernandez. Here is manager Dan Jennings with a full update on his starting pitcher.
Jose has he's flown back to Miami to see Dr. Kaplan. He come in today, and he has right shoulder stiffness, and so he's going to go see Dr. Kaplan, and then Dr. Kaplan will assess that, and we'll know from there what we're talking about. And I don't want to borrow trouble. I'm not a doctor, and Dr. Kaplan certainly knows Jose as good as anybody, and so until they can look at it and determine, is it a little tendonitis, is it stiffness, make that determination, then we'll go from there.
And you take a look at some of his pitch counts as of late. Jose only threw 76 pitches last night, but he did have that stressful 4th inning in which he threw 38 pitches. That's the most of his career in a single inning. In his previous 2 outings, however, he had pitch counts of over 100. Jose himself said last night that he felt fine. He even felt like he had more pitches in him. He wanted to go back out there for that 6th inning. The shoulder stiffness did not start until this morning. It had nothing to do with his performance last night. Like Dan Jennings said, he doesn't want to speculate. He wants to wait until Jose meets with Dr. Kaplan before they announce anything, but luckily some good news. DJ did talk to Jose before he left for Miami this morning. He said that he was in good spirits and did not seem overly concerned. Be sure to keep it right here. First pitch is coming up next between the Braves and the Marlins in Game 3 of this 4-game series. Tom Kohler on the mound for the Fish. He's looking to bounce back after a rough outing against the Mets. Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton will have the call for you next.
Marlins and Braves ready to go. Mike Foltynewicz on his way out. And this is the lineup he'll face tonight, brought to you by JM Lexus. D. Gordon is at second base. Martin Prado, a 6-game hit streak. Prado at third, hitting second. Christian Yelich, who's in center. And here is D. Gordon. You got Casey McGee, Derek Dietrich, JT Realmuto, Cole Gillespie, Adeiny Echeverria, and Tom Kohler. Pitch Penny brought you that first pitch. And a fastball for a strike.
I think you've seen a couple of live fastballs from Foltynewicz. He does have a power arm. First ever appearance against the Marlins.
Gordon goes after that fastball and fouls it back. Numbers. You see the ERA in the mid-5s. The Braves are hopeful that 23-year-old is able to to bring that down the rest of the season.
He also had numerous games in AAA this year. 1-6 with a 3.49 ERA in his starts in AAA before being called up.
Fultonevich better against righties than lefties, but he strikes this lefty out with a high fastball at 97 miles an hour.
How about defensively for the Braves in this one tonight, brought to you by BMW? There's a new face, Michael Bourne. He's a familiar one. We've seen him before. Cameron Maben stays in center. Nick Markakis in right. Adonis Garcia at third. Nick Swisher, another new addition. He's at first. Andrelton Simmons back in the lineup. Jace Peterson at second. And A.J. Pierzynski behind the plate.
Michael Bourne back in a Braves uniform. Nick Swisher for the first time in a Braves uniform. Trade made yesterday. Those two arriving this morning. Chris Johnson departing. And Prado gets clipped by that pitch. He does have that elbow pad on. However, I'm not sure if it hit it flush. The way that he's hanging that left arm, looks like it didn't fully hit the pad and hit the elbow.
Yeah,
just below the pad.
You got a guy who throws as hard as Fultonevich, and you're trying to hang in there. I've never seen him before. Prado was able to bail a little bit, but not enough.
You know, today they had that alumni softball game with the 95 World Championship team against the rest of the alumni, the Legends they called it. And who was standing in that Legends dugout, which is the Marlins dugout, but Martin Prado. And you couldn't help but think Prado looking out on the field, thinking, you know, in about 10, 12 years, that's going to be me out there.
Yeah, he'll be out there. But it'll be at the new ballpark.
Yes, it will be. You're right. SunTrust Park. Now Yelich digs in. Christian Yelich, last night a base hit. 4 hits in the series. His average sitting at 270. Yelich takes away. So now you got the lefty up, and as I noted, Fultonevich not so good against lefties this year. They're hitting .346 against him. Yelich to left towards the line. Bourne covers a lot of ground, and he's there to make the catch.
Well, in essence, the Braves have 2 center fielders out there, with Bourne in left field and Maben in center.
And last night we were wondering, what are the Braves going to do when Bourne gets here? What's Maben thinking? Well, Bourne arrived and went into Freddie Gonzalez's office and said, hey, I'll play left. And so that kind of diffused everything, and he's found himself in left field. Maben has a better arm and probably is better suited right now for center field.
At this stage of their careers, yes.
Now McGee. Fultonevich misses away. McGee has come into both ball games late. Came in and had a pinch hit in the 8th inning on Thursday. Also appeared last night in a 6-3 Atlanta win. There's Swisher, who was actually not with the Indians. He was rehabbing in AAA. Liner to right. That's in the corner, and it's fair. And it bangs into the wall. Prado headed for third. Up with the ball quickly is Markakis. And a stop sign from Lenny Harris. And a good thing, the relay's on the money and would have nabbed Prado. But McGee doubles down the right field line.
Good job by Casey McGee taking care of a high fastball. Doesn't matter how hard you throw, you start making mistakes like that, big league hitters will do a little damage. Casey with some damage there. Prado coming around third, picking up Lenny Harris, and then puts on the brakes.
So Derek Dietrich now with a chance to put Miami on the board, though there are 2 outs. Nice Saturday crowd still settling in. A little bit of sunshine out in right field. Dietrich goes to right field, down the line. That one is just foul. By the narrowest of margins. It's still a scoreless game.
Well, we saw one last night. Was it Justin Bohr? Hit one down there, just foul. When you first hit that ball, there's a nice gesture by A.J. Pierzynski, setting the bat. Nice for Derek Dietrich to just grab it. But you go up that first baseline, you see that ball, and you're just wishing for it to stay fair.
Dietrich back in the box. Foltynewicz, who hit Prado, gave up a 2-out double to McGee. Look who did it, Tommy.
See, I was giving A.J. Pierzynski credit. Nice going, Martine.
Next time he should leave a little note. And he strikes out. Foltynewicz gets Dietrich. 99 on that fastball. Here comes Tom Kohler. Toyota, let's go places. By Hialeah Park Racing and Casino. For more information on our 2-year anniversary on August 14th and 15th, go to HialeahParkCasino.com. By Vico Painting Contractors. For top quality work and excellent customer satisfaction, visit VicoPainting.com. And by AutoNation, save on over 70,000 vehicles now. Visit us online at AutoNation.com. Stone Mountain, about 30 minutes away from Atlanta. And here come the Braves, brought to you by JM Lexus. Yeah, Michael Bourne is here. He's in left. Cameron Maben at second. Nick Markakis in right field. A.J. Pierzynski will do the catching. Nick Swisher at first base. Chase Peterson playing second base. Adonis Garcia at third, hitting seventh. Andrelton Simmons slotted eighth. Mike Foltynewicz is in the 9th spot.
Talked about Tom Kohler. He has had some success here in this ballpark. Always a good sign. 6 games, 5 starts here at Turner Field. A .267 earned run average, a 1-0 record.
This is Bourne. And quickly Kohler's out in front, 0-2. Michael Bourne is now 32. His 10th year in the big leagues. An Indian for the past 2.5 seasons. A Brave for a season and a half before that. Half of 2011 and all of 2012. And that was quick. Welcome back to Atlanta, Michael Bourne. Kohler strikes him out.
And the key to that strikeout is getting ahead quickly with a couple of fastballs. And then the slider down and in gets him to chase it.
Now Maben. Cameron Maben has hit in a variety of spots for Freddie Gonzalez. He was hitting 5th last night and on Thursday night. He finds himself 2nd in the order tonight.
You and I have talked about how he's kind of revitalized his career a little bit. It's amazing to say that because he's not that old, Cameron Maben. Still just 28 years old.
Maben, a former top draft pick of the Tigers, came to the Marlins in the Miguel Cabrera trade. And went foul back to the screen. Never quite got it going as a Marlin. Then to the Padres. Had some moments as a Padre, but as well, never really busted out with San Diego. But you're right, Tommy, this season a little different for him. He hits that one in the right field corner. That's a popular spot tonight. And that's a fair ball. It bounces up, bounces out, and back in. Cole Gillespie picks it up. That is a double for Maben.
Well, it's amazing what a difference just a few inches makes. Derek Dietrich missed a 2-base hit down that right field line. Also missed driving in a couple of runs. But Maben just sneaks it on the line or inside for a 2-base hit. I don't think the best of angles for Tom Kohler. He's just hoping for a foul ball.
Now Markakis, whose prolonged at-bats last night were instrumental in chewing up the pitch count of Jose Fernandez. That long at-bat with a single in the 4th. He lined out in the 1st, and then he did more damage after Jose left. The singles in the 6th, and then 2-run single in the 7th. Maben, big lead. Kohler. That's fouled back.
Yeah, Markakis has just been solid all around. I mean, we talked about 316s, his batting average with runners in scoring position. Working on the hitting streak. 14 straight.
Here's the 1-1. McGee way off to get it. Kohler over. Maben now at 3rd, but there's 2 outs, and here comes Pierzynski, and here comes Miami's defense. It's brought to you by BMW.
All right, the defense has Dietrich, Yelich, and Cole Gillespie in that outfield. Prado and Casey McGee at the corners. Rough night for Etch, but he's right back out there, hoping to win a Gold Glove. He's at short. D. Gordon's at 2nd, and welcome back, JT Real Muto behind the plate.
Here is A.J. Pierzynski. Pierzynski at 38. And still getting it done, having a terrific year. You see his career numbers against Kohler, a couple of home runs, and just 9 at-bats. Kohler misses out. And it's 2-0. 1 in, 1 out. Polar opposites.
That looks like a late night on the dartboard.
Breaking ball for a strike. Pierzynski certainly has added a veteran presence, and with Christian Bethancourt not hitting the way the Braves had hoped, Pierzynski's been the everyday catcher and done a really nice job, more so than anybody would have imagined. He's hitting .302. He's got 18 doubles. He's hit in 12 straight, and he's been one of the hottest hitters in the game since July first, 367, and a 404 on base. Only other catcher better is Buster Posey at 412. We all know that Buster Posey's not human. He's a catching cyborg.
Well, and you would expect Buster Posey on a list like that. You wouldn't expect the 38-year-old Pierzynski.
Full count. That one fouled off. Pierzynski last night had a big hit against Jose Fernandez, the first of 2 run-scoring singles in the 4th. Jose would give up 2 runs and work just 5 innings, throw 76 pitches. And a liner to center, and it falls, a base hit, and Pierzynski does it again.
Six for 10 now in his career against Tom Kohler. But that's a very hittable pitch. I'm sure Tom Kohler didn't want to throw that there, the breaking ball middle of the plate. And it's also a 13-game hitting streak now for Pierzynski.
Now Nick Swisher. Michael Bourne being back here, you can kind of see it. Bourne had success here, had some speed. If he can get on base, a top of the order threat. Swisher's arrival, I think, caught a lot of people by surprise, because was down rehabbing, still feeling the effects of the double arthroscopic knee surgery last year. Pitch misses down low.
Yeah, he only played 30 games with the Indians this year. He didn't play that many last year. Last year he played under 100. But he is signed through 2016.
And as is prevalent in the game, the trades that are made after the trading deadline are often your bad mortgage for my bad mortgage, or something along those lines. The 2-1. That one pulled foul. Here's the trade. And as you look at Bourne and Swisher and their numbers, and then Johnson and his numbers, if there was another column, you could put their contracts up there. Because as Tommy pointed out, Swisher is owed a lot of money going through next year. Bourne also under contract through 16. Both have vesting options in 17. A swing and a miss. And Kohler strikes out Swisher. But the Braves and A.J. Pierzynski get to Tom Kohler in the first. Classic coming to Miami. Sign up, receive ticketing updates, breaking news, information relating to Major League Baseball All-Star Game and All-Star Week events. Be held at Marlins Park, July of 2017. Go to marlins.com/ASG. Home of the All-Star Game.
Home of the alumni softball game today.
Oh, the alumni softball game was incredible today. All the legends coming back. There was a great shot just before first pitch of the big three in a pickup truck going around the warning track. As JT Realmuto stands in against Foltynewicz. And it was John Smoltz, Tom Glavine, and of course Greg Maddux. And I thought they were just taking a victory lap and then heading to the golf course afterwards to hit it around. But apparently not, because guess who's wandered into our booth? Here's the 1-2. Realmuto over the mound. Simmons can't get it. And Realmuto is aboard. Newly minted Hall of Famer, MLB Network, Fox postseason star. John Smoltz, how are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. Doing good. Survived the softball game. Nothing pulled yet till I wake up in the morning.
How did you talk your teammates into letting you play shortstop early in that game?
I just said, whoever wants to go out, and I just was the first to go out there. We just said, I always was messing around, and
there you go.
Back in the day, played short, grew up idolizing Alan Trammell, Lou Whitaker, played a little short in high school. So this is always fun.
Did
especially
you
when
think
no one
about the
gets
flip out of the glove there?
Nah. Take care of myself. But, no, this has been a fun weekend, fun month, and some changing times for both these teams, obviously, where we are in August.
Yeah, it's both teams in some transition right now. The Braves with a very busy offseason. Cole Gillespie shoots one down the right field line. It's a fair ball. Realmuto headed to third. Into the corner is Markakis. Realmuto, good speed, on his way home, and he's going to score. And this game is tied. Ball loose, and sliding into third is Gillespie. That right field corner has been a popular spot early in this ball game.
Well, a couple of guys with good swings, and Gillespie getting a start tonight against the hard thrower Foltynewicz. And you're right about that corner. We've seen one ball foul. We've seen two doubles down in that area. But the good speed of JT Realmuto, that's why it's nice to have him back in the lineup. He's able to score on that ball in the corner.
Like he wasn't even sweating. Smooth runner.
Yeah. Now Echeverria. Was Cooperstown everything you thought it would be? I know you had a chance to go up and see your two teammates go in last year.
Yeah, it's beyond belief. Words can't describe it. I saw it last year. I thought I had the lay of the land. I thought I was going to be comfortable. And everything went great until you get up there. And I say to people all the time, and they, you can't explain it till you get through it. But it wasn't the 40,000 people you're staring at, which is incredible in itself. It's the guys behind you. And this is the biggest out-of-body experience I've ever been part of. And I'm just glad I got through it.
Well, you handled it terrifically. I know Rich and I were able to check in on the speeches. You were tremendous. But that has to be just the preparation for that speech. You can't really prepare for it.
No, it's actually turned pretty frustrating for me. Wrote it 5 to, I'd say, 15 different times. And at some point I just said, that's it. I can't grind on it anymore. I'm going to try. I've never written a speech in my life. Anything I've ever talked about has been passionate, and I know what I'm talking about. It's not something I've got to look up. And so I stayed to the script as much as I could and tried to have as much fun as I could. I had a wig there planted in the...
Echeverria up the middle. Simmons has it and goes to first. Gillespie started to the plate and then headed back to thirds. So you stayed on script?
Yeah, I did. This was amazing here. When you take the turn in the parade, Glavine prepared me for this. He said, wait till you see this. You ain't going to believe it. And he was right. And then really getting up on that stage, that's just something you can't ever prepare yourself for.
Were you happy with the likeness on the bust?
Yeah, definitely. It was something, I got to meet her. She was I was the first one she's ever met of the ones that actually done the plaques. And I said, way to go. I mean, that's pretty good. I had to try to always fake to look mean. because I never was really mean, and that was a good depiction.
Over your career, even after baseball, now you've had a chance to meet many Hall of Famers. Were there any that you had the chance to meet during this ceremony that you had not, and that you were really looking forward to?
Yeah, I couldn't wait to meet a lot of them. Obviously, Sandy Koufax and Steve Carlton and some of the guys that you don't get a chance to run into, and now I'll be rubbing elbows with every year going back. It was pretty incredible. I mean, everybody was going to give you the business a little bit as a rookie, and Tom Seaver let me have it a few days.
Yeah, what'd they do? Yeah, what were some of the hazing things?
Well, the biggest thing is after the speech, you get your rings, and when you get your ring, they all tell you to speech, 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 and the first word gets out of your mouth, they yell, sit down. And they'll rag you about whatever in your speech they didn't like or the time of it, but it was an incredible thing. Johnny Bench did something that was pretty cool. Told us to sit there on the porch for 2 minutes, look out over the lake, and just ponder what had just happened and what we had achieved. And got a chance to do that and just really take it all in, because I've heard all the things you could say, one breath at a time, slow it down as much as possible. But what a week. And just really a month for me has been 2 days I was home in the month of July.
Wow. D. Gordon is up. He takes a strike. And it's 1-1. John Smoltz is with us. What a great alumni weekend. There's the wig.
There's the wig. Maddox always gets on my hair. And just for about 30 seconds, I want him to know this is what I used to have. And I got delivered my jab right back in.
Bogdanovich has it. Fires to first in time to get D. Gordon. Miami gets even on the double by Cole Gillespie. John Smoltz is with us. 1-1 on an absolutely gorgeous night for baseball here in Atlanta. As a Brave, he did it all. A lights-out starter. And when they needed him in the bullpen, he would shut the door and close like no other Brave in history. A Hall of Famer, John Smoltz. The numbers speak for themselves, and one of the great postseason pitchers in his era. And what a Hall of Fame class to go in with. I mean, it was a very unique class for you to go in with Randy Johnson.
It really was.
Craig Biggio, Pedro Martinez.
I said it's the perfect analogy of baseball, all sizes and shapes, and you get it done in different ways. Me being in the middle, Randy in the top end, and, of course, Pedro, the most dominating short guy, if you want to call him that, I've ever seen. And I know everyone talked about Maddox, Glavine, and myself going in, but in a unique way, they had theirs. I was able to have mine in a class I'll never forget. And Craig Biggio, what a grinder, what a guy you'd love to have on your teammate as a teammate. So it was really surreal. It's still, I look at those things and I just still can't believe it. I really can't.
guess everybody usually says next year when you go back, you'll be able to sit back, relax, and enjoy it a little bit more.
Absolutely. I mean, I already look forward to that. You know, hopefully those dates, nothing ever happens where I can get interfered to go back there, because I plan on going every year, and for the guys and really the respect factor of those guys in that group is incredible.
Part of the speech that both Tommy and I, when we were listening in San Diego, it caught our attention. We kind of said, right on, it's nice to hear someone talk about it. That is, parents, let your kids play multiple sports. This age of specialization in any sport, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, tennis, golf, any of that. Talk about that. What prompted you to say that? I know you were a terrific basketball player and a great high school athlete growing up.
Yeah, we're losing. I mean, we can spend a whole time on why we're having injuries the way we're having, but we're specializing too early, too young. And in the warm cities like in Miami, Florida, West Coast, kids are playing all year. They're choosing a sport at 9. Let them play. Let them have fun. This is not supposed to be this sped up. You're not supposed to max out at the early age. And it's not a year-round sport. It's a long baseball season, and the kids are having surgeries and repeating themselves. You play a one-sided sport, you're going to be out of balance. Your body needs to navigate towards. If you're athletic, let them be athletic. And I think that's one thing.
Runner on the move, and Garcia drills it into left field for a hit, and the Braves have something going here in the seconds.
You know, I grew up in the north, so obviously we had 2 months of summer. It was perfect for me. You know, play the baseball season, play basketball. I was playing football early, but then my dad stopped that, which was a great move. I'd have got crushed as a quarterback. But I think this is the one thing we're missing in our game. We think there's every opportunity to just replenish every pen with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, replenish every starter that goes down with Tommy John. At some point, we're going to hit a point of no return. We're going to have to relook at what's going on in the youth baseball and in Major League Baseball. And I have been an advocate and trying my best to try to get parents to understand, don't buy into the system. Don't, you know, your child's got time. You know, the arms don't come around that often.
In the air to right, not too deep. Gillespie sets up, runner tags. It's Peterson with good wheels on his way to the plate, and the throw is not in time. And the Braves reclaim the lead on a sacrifice fly by Andrelton Simmons.
So you have to be, John, you have to be in favor of the commissioner's new play ball initiative.
Yeah, I don't have all the things. I know they were in the works. They got to do something. And you know, I know the sport's not for everybody financially at that level, and that's part of our problem too. You know, creating. But kids, just everything they do is competitive now. They don't go out in the parks and play baseball. They don't throw a strike out against the wall. They don't even know how to make up teams or rules. So that's the problem, is everything is a competitive pitch.
A good wiffle ball game.
Yeah.
It's a lost art now.
Here's the ironic thing. I've heard maybe half a dozen scouts this year talk about the players that they like the best, scouting in high school and college, are players that played multiple sports in high school. Football players, basketball players. Giancarlo Stanton is a great example, a guy that did not play. I mean, D. Gordon was a terrific basketball player. His father and uncle had to talk him into trying baseball his junior year in high school.
And they're right, because you can't teach athleticism. You might be able to teach other components of it, but those guys that come around and now we're losing them. There's no multiple sport high schools anymore. All the AAUs, all the club sports are taking over because it's a money-making business. And they've sold the parents and the idea that scholarship dollars and draft dollars are going to be through us. And unfortunately, no one's paying attention to the amount of injuries. We're bigger, we're stronger, we're faster.
Runner goes, little hit and run towards the line. Gillespie leaps. Did he get it? Gillespie, no. Lost in the crowd, and he lost the baseball as well.
We're seeing the game played at an incredible rate, and the athletes are great, but we're not keeping them on the field. There's a problem, and we're not going backwards to learn to train. How about going backwards in the game? How about finding out what Tom Seaver did and all those guys? You would think that would happen. To my recollection, no one does it, because we're moving forward. It's faster. We got all the training technically specific to the game, and we're not training the right muscles, and yet everybody's bigger, stronger, faster.
Greatest thing here is you're preaching to the choir too. Because we know all that. You'd like to see players eliminate some things they do in spring training and do baseball activities. Yeah. Do a little bit more of that.
I mean, everyone talks about our 14 in a row. Everyone talks about our starting staff, but no one asks us what we did. We played golf.
I remember, I don't know you played golf, but I remember working in Seattle. You guys came up to Seattle, and I had heard this through the grapevine. Hey, watch the Braves take batting practice, because you'll see Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox in a vicious competition to catch the most fly balls in the outfield.
Yeah, that was how I stayed in shape. I shagged every day except for the day I pitched. And that was, to me, there's no excuse for a starting pitcher to not be physically able to go 9 innings. Mentally, yeah, you're going to get fatigued, depending on the game. But Avery, everybody we had, we shagged, we were in shape, and we had fun when time called to have fun. We had time away from the field at golf. We did everything together. That doesn't happen as much anymore. Even talking baseball doesn't happen as much. We've got too much direct connect technology that's taking us away from it.
Who won most of those shagging contests?
I did. No, there's no doubt. I was. There was only a couple of guys I couldn't beat. It was Andrew Jones and Deion Sanders. Yeah. But I wanted to take them all on, and I loved it because that, to me, you know, when I got tired and you're chasing a ball, you can go that extra mile. But if you just tell me to run, once I got tired, I'm going to probably check out a little quicker. So I know I drove my manager crazy a little bit. He came up with a no shagging rule in spring training primarily because of me. But I'd rob home runs. I didn't do anything reckless, but at the same time, I wasn't going to put myself in a glass bubble. And survived 21 years.
You actually did a good demonstration of that on MLB Network one night.
I got a baseball card of me robbing a home run. It's my favorite card.
Little check swing. Michael Bourne rolls it out to second base. Well, John Smoltz, congratulations on the Hall of Fame. Congratulations on the burgeoning stardom in television on MLB Network. You and Vasgersian on Fox. It's big stuff. It's great stuff.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's a
pleasure.
John.
Thanks.
All right.
John Smoltz, Braves up in this one. It's 2-1. Cast that you're watching is presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Martin Prado, Mike Fultonevich, and the Miami Marlins, and the Commissioner of Baseball, which used to be the guy, right? Whenever you'd read that, it was always the commissioner.
That would be included, yes.
I always envisioned Bowie Kuhn sitting at his desk with this pile of requests to disseminate Major League telecasts. Cleveland Indians, okay. Houston Astros, not this time. Martin Prado in a 2-1 game. It's a chopper towards third. Garcia has it, loads up, and throws him out. And there's one out here in the third. If you're just joining us, too bad you missed John Smoltz.
Yeah, you missed a nice inning.
He is, you know what? I'm telling you, I can remember the early days of Tim McCarver when he got into television. Listening to John Smoltz right now, he is terrific.
But he's tremendous. He not only, as you heard, he has tremendous opinions, and he's going to express those opinions. Boy, I could talk to him a long time about some of those things.
Yelich bounces it to short. Simmons on over to first. Mike Foltynewicz gets 2 quick outs. Here's Casey McGee. Miami had opportunities in the first. 2 men on, including McGee, who doubled down the right field line. Gillespie doubled almost in the exact same spot to drive in JT Realmuto with Miami's only run. I'll tell you, watching that alumni softball game today, one of the most impressive swings was a guy that will join us tomorrow of Fox Sports and Fox Sports 1, C.J. Nitkowski.
Well, see, pitchers, which C.J. he was a left-handed pitcher. He's probably playing in a softball league somewhere. We'll have to check with him when he shows up tomorrow. But yeah, he crushed one. Andrew Jones.
Oh, look at the bat flip.
Got the bat flip too.
Oh, we got to get on him for that.
Andrew Jones hit one out. Chipper Jones hit one out. It's only fitting that the Joneses went deep with the Marlins in town.
Yes. McGee walks. So a 2-out walk. He brings up Derek Dietrich, who narrowly missed a double himself, which would have knocked in 2. Lined a ball into that right field corner that was just fouled.
Speaking of home runs, talked about Foltynewicz. His last start against San Francisco, he allowed 4. Brandon Belt, Buster Posey, and Brandon Crawford hit 2. But you're right, the Braves ended up winning that game 9-8.
Most homers allowed among rookies. Foltynewicz at 14. 4 of those came in his last start.
A lot of those other guys have thrown many more innings, too.
In this year where the Braves traded away a lot of veterans and have gone with youth, mostly restocking their minor leagues. A lot of the guys that the Braves traded for haven't been here yet. And so you could see what John Hart and John Schuerholz have done here. They've restocked the minor league system, and they've tried to put some veterans here so that when the young kids come up, there are veterans around them. Markakis in right is a long-term guy. You know, Pierzynski behind the plate, Johnny Gomes on the bench, and now Swisher and Bourne. Fastball misses away.
7 straight balls from Foltynewicz.
You turned Dietrich loose on 3-0.
No, not because the guy's throwing 7 straight balls.
There you go.
If he was more around the strike zone, you might think about it, but because of his wildness, no.
If you hashtag your photo, FL Data Strong Fan, and it's a strong fan photo, you could make it on the postgame show just like Jessica Blaylock. Although she did not hashtag her photo, she still is going to be on the postgame show. It's brought to you by T-Mobile.
Rich, that situation there with Dietrich, that would be hashtag green light.
Everything's got a hashtag. Foltynewicz misses in. So that's what, 9 straight balls.
When John Smoltz was aboard with us, we were talking about players that we mentioned around the league that are athletic. Here's another one, JT Realmuto. Jace Peterson, second baseman for the Braves.
Yeah, Realmuto, a great high school quarterback. Peterson was a safety at McNeese State. There's a strike. That snapped a skid of 10 straight balls. Real Muto had a little tapper over the mound for an infield hit. Just like that, it's 2-2. We've seen Foltynewicz hit 99 with his fastball. And there we see him miss away. Full count now, 3-2 with 2 outs. McGee from second, Dietrich from first. And look at the ball strike from this inning alone.
Right now, Freddie Gonzalez is thinking about his bullpen, how he's going to use it.
Hammered, just foul. Wow.
Well, he spun a breaking ball up there at 3-2 because he struggled throwing strikes with the fastball. But he threw it as if to say, well, I'm just going to get me over breaking ball, and he hung it. JT with a good swing, just foul.
David Rackley on the call down at third base. Hunter Wendelstedt is behind home plate tonight. Marvin Hudson at first. Bob Davidson is out at second. Runners on the move again. And one up into the seats. Tomorrow is not an afternoon game. It's not necessarily a night game. It's a 5:10 start, kind of right in the middle. 4:30 for Marlins Live. Brad Hand, Shelby Miller. That is low, and Real Muto walks. So 2 outs to start the inning, 3 walks since then. And here comes Cole Gillespie and Roger McDowell. Roger McDowell may have the best trot to the mound of any pitching coach in the National League. I can't speak for the American League, Tommy Hutton.
Well, Roger, is still in pretty good shape. Boy, he had a good sinker slider. And he's been Braves pitching coach for quite a while. He's done a nice job. Talk around the league of different pitching coaches. And sometimes we do not mention Roger McDowell, but he, over the years, done a really good job. Of course, we saw Leo Mazzoni here earlier.
That's right. Leo Mazzoni was included in the Legends activities with Bobby Cox.
10th year for Roger McDowell.
Now Gillespie, who drove one down the line and drove in the only run of the night for Miami. It's a 2-1 Atlanta lead. Fastball for a strike. And just like that, Foltynewicz is out in front 0-2.
We talked about this big right-hander, first-round pick of the Astros, out of high school, went to high school in Illinois. He had committed to go to the University of Texas, but elected to sign with the Astros.
Pumped it up to 98, and it's 1-2. Not a lot of games, but some success. And that includes his RBI double in the second. A Marlin at every base. 1-2. Wow. That can't be pleasant for Pierzynski to reach out and extend and try to catch 99.
Yeah, and this is not an easy matchup for a 38-year-old catcher. But a good job there to spear that fastball.
2-2. Tried to find it with the breaking ball, so all of a sudden he can't throw the fastball for a strike. He's missed with the slider. He's walked 3 after getting 2 outs in the inning, and it's 3-2 to Gillespie. High chopper. Garcia has it to first. He's safe. Cole Gillespie beats it at first, and Miami has tied the game. Casey McGee comes across. A lot of drama in that high chopper.
Well, you knew that Garcia, the third baseman, once he got this ball, once it came to him, he was going to unload. He did quickly. It's a very close play at first base. I think Freddie was looking in to see if they wanted a challenge. But it doesn't appear they are. And just like that, a tie game.
Jake Brigham in the Braves bullpen. So an infield hit. Gillespie's knocked in both runs. And here's Echeverria. And he fouls a pitch back. It's 0-1. Dietrich at third, Real Muto at second, Gillespie at first. Gruzinski tried to snap that ball back onto the plate.
We talk about how Gruzinski and other catchers frame pitches. Wasn't too long ago, a ball bounced, and he was jokingly, and he brought it into the strike zone. He framed it.
Simmons. Marlins get even. 3 walks and an infield hit. After all that, it's 2-2. And Braves 2-2. There he is. Look at the hair for John Smoltz. Time now for the Coors Banquet Timeless Moment. This date 2002, 114th game. John Smoltz becomes the quickest to 40 saves in Major League history. And he would end the year with a career high 55 saves.
Seemed like he got a whole lot of those against the Marlins too.
He said he was going to put the wig on. It looks good. Kind of like a soap opera guy. Now Tom Kohler goes to work. Braves have a run in each of the first 2 innings. Bottom third here. Cameron Maben, Nick Markakis, A.J. Pierzynski. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton, Jessica Playlong. If you're just joining us, you've missed John Smoltz. You've also missed the news that Jose Fernandez has returned to Miami with stiffness in his shoulder. Be examined by team doctors. The Marlins are hopeful that it's just residual stiffness from last night's start. Hopefully by tomorrow on Marlins Live, we will have a clearer picture. In the meantime, it's Tom Kohler against Cameron Maben. A breaking ball chopped to third. Prado has to hustle it, and he gets there and gets the out. It was an interesting sequence last night with Jose being lifted after 5 innings. You go back to the start previous when he threw 112 pitches. And so, there is a possibility that shoulder was bothering him last night, though there is no indication, and nobody, including Jose, said that it was.
I think, too, the shots we had in the dugout of Jose sitting there talking with Chuck after he came out, it certainly didn't appear to be any concern on either of their faces.
Fastball in to Nick Markakis. A.J. Pierzynski extended his hit streak to 13 games with an RBI single in the first. Markakis is 0 for 1. His streak is at 14 straight. That one fouled back. But Tommy, you look at the veterans that are here for the Braves. You can see Markakis in a Braves uniform out the next 2-3 years. It is a 4-year deal. And guys like Pierzynski, Johnny Gomes, even Swisher, who arrived this year, actually last night, that's into center field, a base hit, so the streak is now 15 games. Be interesting to see how many of the guys that are here this year are here next year, the year after. Marlins and Red Sox interleague showdown at Marlins Park on Tuesday the 11th. It's a 7:10 start. First 10,000 fans on Tuesday. An Ichiro t-shirt courtesy of Seito Pharmaceutical. Secure your seats today for the Red Sox series. 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com.
Well, it's interesting if you go position by position with the Atlanta Braves and look down the road for them. Yeah, you wonder. They hope it's Christian Bethancourt behind the plate, because it's not going to be Pierzynski at 38 years old now. Markakis is going to be around. Cameron Maben looks like he is settled in. He'll be in the outfield. Chase Peterson, the second baseman.
McGee spins, and no one's at first. He got him on the hand, and Pierzynski's upset with himself. An odd play. I don't know if someone was in the line of fire for McGee at first, and then he decided to get to first, and there was no one there, and it was a heads-up play by Casey to get the tag in.
You see Tom Kohler stumble. He's to the ground, but you're right. Good reactions by Casey McGee to just get a piece of Pierzynski. He's upset he got that left arm up, and that's exactly where he got tagged.
Watch that play. The other thing Casey had to do as he started to first, he had to put the ball in his glove, because he had it in his hand ready to throw it to second, and he knew he couldn't get to Pierzynski with the ball in his hand. He had to shovel it over to the glove.
The Braves are going to be set for a while with Freddie Freeman at first base. Andrelton Simmons, a shortstop. Third base, they'll think about that, see what their plans are at that position. Certainly a closer. Remember, they started the year with the two veterans, Jason Grilli and Jim Johnson. Working out of the bullpen. Grilli injured, Johnson in L.A. So now that's a position they have to think about.
2-0 pitch to Nick Swisher, and he pulls it foul.
Here's a guy, Swisher, his lifetime average 250, but his lifetime on base percentage 351. So he's always been, of course, he was a first-round draft pick of Oakland, so he came up in that on-base situation. He's always been a good on-base guy.
Native of Columbus, Ohio, went to Ohio State. 4 years with the Yankees, his first a world championship, part of that World Series team. Parts of 3 years with Cleveland. As Tommy noted, didn't play a lot last year. The knee surgeries. Surgery on each knee, arthroscopic surgery, and just 30 games this year. And Swisher walks. And that brings up Jace Peterson.
Talked about Tom Kohler off to a not so good start early on, pitching on the road, but lately just fantastic pitching away from Marlins Park. Last 4 road starts, 2-2 with a 1.44 ERA.
And the environments in which he pitched in those 4 starts, 3 of them known as good hitters parks. Wrigley in the summer, Fenway, and Citizens Bank Park in Philly. The other start was in San Diego.
A few starts before that, he had a terrific start in Denver, Coors Field.
He's 2-0 to Jace Peterson.
.32 starts last year for Kohler, a 10-10 record. Tonight making his 21st start.
Now 3-0. We saw Foltynewicz lose control and walk 3 in a row. Give up a run in the top of this inning. That's a strike.
Fair.
In the air, left field. Dietrich makes the catch. Peterson hit it well. Dietrich runs it down. Braves lead 2. It's 2-2.
For the fourth, Michael Bourne back with the Braves for the first time since 2012, but this time around he is playing a different position. Here is Bourne on transitioning to left field.
I'm enjoying, learning a new position. I think it's actually good for me. I think it'll be easy on my legs in left field, which is a plus for me offensively. And, I look forward to learning a new position. It's always a challenge in this game, so I'll learn to go out there and shag some balls. Today I just have to go free and see what I can do. But, I'll go out there and play my best, and, I enjoy it.
Guys, Bourne says that he is thrilled to be back in Atlanta. He told me that he loved his time here, and he's thankful for the opportunity to play again for the Braves.
Jessica, thanks. And going along with what John Smoltz talked about, he talked about a guy that was a star growing up in Houston and in a lot of different disciplines. Michael Bourne, one of the faster men in baseball. Not right now, probably 3, 4, 5 years ago when he was in his mid-20s. Tom Kohler bounces out to Jace Peterson.
Yeah, Bourne out of the University of Houston, drafted by the Phillies, but he was happy when he was traded by the Phillies to the Astros. There's a couple of speedsters right there. They always kind of hang together, like the power guys hang together.
That's right. It's their own little club. They have little club cards and secret handshakes and everything. Something is up on the mound. Fultonevich has visitors, a trainer and his manager, Freddie Gonzalez.
See if he can pick anything up from this last pitch. Fastball. Didn't see anything, and he's still out there. Yeah, Bourne was traded. It turned out to be a big trade for the Phillies because they acquired Brad Lidge in that deal, who of course was fantastic for Philadelphia in their World Series.
Bourne approaches and makes the catch in foul territory. So far, he's looked quite comfortable out in left field.
Yeah, as a center fielder, obviously you have balls coming at you a little easier to pick up. You don't have to deal with crossing over the foul line and getting near the stands. And he's had to do that a couple of times tonight.
Yeah, you just have to worry about getting run over by a right fielder or a left fielder.
Yeah.
Prado now hit by a pitch, and he's bounced out. Busy day in baseball, busy night in baseball as well. That one bounces off of Pierzynski, who's going to need some time to collect himself. Hunter Wendelstadt going out to the mound with the new baseball. The Mets, leaders in the division right now, 2.5 games the lead coming in. Mets and Nationals are in action right now, and in the top of the 6th in St. Pete, Rays 5-4 over the Mets, who overcame a deficit in the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th last night to win. So they're down right now by 1, and the Nationals are up 3-1 over the Rockies.
Got Pierzynski on that right forearm.
You can see he had it behind his leg, trying to shield it, and then turned towards the ball. Prado takes away.
Yeah, last night the Mets got home runs from Uribe and Daniel Murphy. There's that ball skipping and getting that forearm. Today they've gotten a couple of home runs from Curtis Granderson.
Yeah, and that's one of the differences. When the Mets were in and lined up the Marlins and the Mets offenses, on base percentage not so good, slugging percentage not so good. I thought the biggest difference were home runs. The Mets had hit more homers than Miami. That's to right. Markakis is there, and he makes the catch. Marlins go down in order. Bottom of the 4th coming up in Atlanta. It's 2-2. is brought to you by your local Chevy dealers. Visit your South Florida Chevy dealers today. By Checkers, mix and match our famous Big Buford and Big Chicken Deluxe. Get 2 for $5. Checkers, it's in the bag. And by the all-new Ford F-150, the future of tough. In Atlanta, Marlins and Braves 2-2, bottom 4. Tom Kohler gets Adonis Garcia with Andrelton Simmons. And in the pitcher spot, Mike Foltynewicz. Braves bullpen has been up once already. Garcia first pitch swinging. Gordon going a long ways and kind of lunging and reaching for the tarp at the same time. It's just beyond his reach.
Or was it in Toronto? We saw D. Gordon chase one down in that similar area, but that tarp got in the way and just out of his reach. Tom Kohler would like to have a clean inning. The Braves have had at least 2 runners each inning so far. So he'd like to, he's worked out of it. Made some good pitches when he's needed to.
Adonis Garcia, one of the guys that's been given an opportunity to play in the absence of some of the bigger names here in Atlanta. He's been able to take advantage of first Chris Johnson's slump and now Chris Johnson's departure. 30-year-old Cuban reaches out, sends it out to right. That's Gillespie tonight. He makes the catch. Early evening affair tomorrow, 4:30 for Marlins Live. Preston Wilson is back from his Fox Sports 1 baseball assignment. Preston had the ball game in Pittsburgh, a long one. The Dodgers and the Pirates.
Matt Latos started for the Dodgers, 4 innings, gave up 7 hits and 6 runs.
Here's Simmons. Simmons strokes that one into left center field. Long run. Yelich reaches and got it. Christian Yelich in center field runs it down, and that saves probably 3 bases with Simmons' speed and the angle that Yelich had.
And that's a good choice of words. If you can have the speed and get the jump, but if you don't get the right angle, you're not going to make that play. Christian Yelich did all 3 of those things. Much appreciated by Tom Kohler. We were looking in the future for the Braves. You mentioned the Cuban Garcia. Their future plans at third base are Hector Olivera, the Cuban they got in that trade with the Dodgers. Right now he's on the disabled list, has a hamstring issue, nothing serious. And that's their hope, to play him there.
Yeah, John Hart wanted a bat in that whole transaction, and that's the bat they wanted. That's the bat they got. Foltynewicz to right. Gillespie is there, and he makes the catch, and Tom Kohler goes 1-2-3 for the first time tonight. Again, Chipper Jones is back in the house. Our Warren Henry drive of the game. This the alumni softball game. That's Johnny Estrada behind the plate, and Charles Thomas. Eesh. Charles Thomas is okay. We're happy to report that the Warren Henry drive of the game.
Again, a high five from Marcus Giles as he passed second base. Spends most of his time on his ranch in Texas. Does Chipper Jones.
2-2 game here in Atlanta. Christian Yelich, Casey McGee, Derek Dietrich for Miami, Mike Foltynewicz, 23-year-olds.
By the way, Rich, part of the disseminating disclaimer is that if you make that great catch, you lead off the inning.
That's a bylaw that is rarely read in the course of discussing the disclaimer. Yelich is flied out and bounced out. He takes away. Foltynewicz a brief 9-pitch inning in the fourth, but that also included a trip from the Braves training staff and Freddie Gonzalez after he delivered a pitch. Yelich a little tapper. Foltynewicz has it and gets the out.
Well, both pitchers settling down a little bit. Tom Kohler had a 7-pitch inning in the fourth.
Who's your hottest team in baseball, Tommy Hutton? I know the Mets are streaking. They've won 7 straight. Let's extract them.
How about the Toronto Blue Jays?
That's where I'm going. That's Justin Smoke with a grand slam. Troy Tulowitzki, a solo shot. David Price, whose numbers not so good against the Yankees, pitched 7 strong innings. And Toronto is now 2.5 back in the East. Forget about the wild card. They're 60-52. It's fun to see that city energized because that was a Goliath of a baseball market when you were a broadcaster with the Jays.
The years, my first year there was 90. Of course, 92 and 3, they won the World Series. I forget how many consecutive sellouts they had at then Sky Dome, now Rogers Center. But it was an incredible amount, and it's a big ballpark. David Price said it the other day after his debut with the Blue Jays at home. He said it was just the best reception and crowd that he'd ever seen.
So what years were you there in total with the Jays?
90 to 96.
So you've broadcast for 2 world champion Blue Jay teams and 2 Marlin world champions.
That is correct, Rich.
Wow. But you're not in the level of excellence there.
No, not in the level of excellence, nor the Ring of Honor either.
That's what they call it. I've always been amused by that in Toronto.
Well, it's a level of excellence.
It's not the Ring of Honor.
Cito Gaston is, I think. Yeah, it was fun times up there then.
Now, did you, like Robbie Alomar, live in the hotel?
No, I did not.
Pitch misses up.
That was Robbie's space.
That's right. It's 1-0. That's back when it was Skydome. Dietrich struck out and walked. That's the amazing thing about Foltynewicz. He's at times looked overpowering, and at times he's looked like Nuke LaLoosh.
Well, he's one of those guys that's wild enough that you're just not going to dig in at the plate.
Dietrich turns on one and blasts it foul into the second deck.
The other team that continues to stay hot, they're out on the West Coast right now, but the Phillies, another win last night. Philadelphia 14-5 since the All-Star break.
And that's bad news for the Marlins, because now the Marlins and the Phillies share the basement of the East. The Phillies and the Marlins with identical records. To center, Maben. And he makes the catch. Foltynewicz has settled down. He's retired 7 straight. Two. Marlins and Braves. On this date in Major League history, 1988, Phillies and Cubs' first scheduled night game at Wrigley Field is rained out after 3 innings.
And all the Cubs fans were saying, see, if it had been a day game, we would have gotten it in. And they're still playing night games at Wrigley. How about the fact that the Cubs have moved Chris Coghlan in to play second base the last couple of games? Starlin Castro's really struggling, so they've moved the young second baseman shortstop over there, Addison Russell.
Well, and the Cubs have beaten the Giants for the 3rd straight time. That was today. They've expanded their lead for that second wild card to 2.5 games. Chris Bryant drove in 3 runs, hit his 15th homer. Addison Russell is starting to blossom.
And I think a lot of that, those moves, dictated by a couple of things.
Dietrich makes the catch.
One of those, Castro's really struggling offensively. The other, they were trying to get their young catcher, but he can play a little outfield, Kyle Schwarber, in the lineup. He continues to hit, so he's been playing left.
Yeah, he played left. He was 2 for 4 with an RBI today. Now Maben, who's doubled and bounced out. Both starters have settled in. Early runs for both Miami and Atlanta. Tom Kohler and Mike Foltynewicz have been solid since.
Rich, you're talking about, we're both talking about Toronto, how hot they've been, how they've been playing. Is Josh Donaldson your early MVP? Hit his 30th home run last night.
Yes. I would agree. In the American League, I'd go with Donaldson. Driven in 82. His OPS is 935.
Trout will get a lot of votes and could be the MVP as well, but you know, so much of that too also depends on how the Angels continue to play. They need to catch Houston. Bryce Harper's cooled off a little bit, but still a threat right in the middle of that lineup. Goldschmidt is steady.
That one flipped down the right field line, foul and out of play. Coming on a little bit right now is Andrew McCutchen, who had 3 hits today to raise his average to 300. Was not a good day for Matt Latos. Line into the gap, left center field. Yelich over, cuts it off. Maben's not stopping. Yelich's throw right off the glove of D. Gordon, then off the base. And Maben arrives safely. I'd like to see that one again.
You give Maben credit. He's thinking about double as soon as he left the batter's box. Into the gap. Yelich up with the throw. It looked like a really good throw, just mishandled by D. Gordon. The throw is right there. Now, I don't know if he gets him. What he probably tried to do, he probably tried to sweep that tag back before he actually caught it. Would have been a close play, though.
Maben had already deployed the full matrix slide and was trying to avoid that swipe tag. Boy, Nick Markakis was a tough guy to handle last night. 3 hits, drove in 2. He's only driven in 5 in the series. This game 3. Game 4 tomorrow at 5.
A couple of times in his career, of course, all with Baltimore prior to this year. A couple of times Markakis had over 100 RBIs.
It's a guy that won a couple of Gold Gloves. One out. The guy that has tormented Kohler is on deck, in A.J. Pierzynski.
Yeah, if somehow Tom Kohler's able to get Markakis, you'd have first base open. I know Swisher's on deck, but boy, Swisher just hasn't played a lot this year. You might have to think about how you pitch to Pierzynski.
Echeverria into left field, Maben around third, and he scores. And Markakis gives Atlanta a 3-2 lead.
Boy, he does it again. You know, he doesn't try to do too much. You watch his approach, his at-bats. This time stays on it, just drills a nasty one-hopper past Echeverria.
Now here is Pierzynski, and Markakis is at first. Ball on the strike. It's odd to feel nostalgic about this ballpark because it doesn't seem that old. But it won't be the home of the Braves for long. Next year, the last year here, barring some delay in construction, in the new ballpark, SunTrust Park, Cobb County, which still has an Atlanta address, by the way. The new ballpark will, but certainly not in this downtown area. The Falcons are getting a new football stadium right next to the Georgia Dome. I don't know what they're going to do with this facility. They had talked about Georgia State moving here, play football. That has kind of been nixed. Krasinski takes down low. You wonder if anything in this park will move to the new ballpark. I mean, if I were to choose,
what would you choose to do?
The one thing that I would move would be the Chick-fil-A cow in left field. I love the fact that when the tomahawk chop goes, that right arm is up and down. Bouncer up the middle. Echeverria has it, steps on the bag, flips to first in time to get the double play. Just don't look into his eyes, Tommy. They are evil.
I'm not looking. I'm not looking.
Evil, I'm telling you. Fish family members, renew your season tickets today. Your chance to win a trip to 2016 All-Star Game, which is in San Diego. Other incredible prizes and experiences to be given away daily. Enjoy maximum savings, rewards, and flexible payment options. 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com. Some of the sunsets we've seen here in the South in Atlanta the last 3 nights have been spectacular. Rain on Thursday. Still the sun fought through the clouds. Last night, just that rich tapestry of orange and purple. And here tonight, a 3-2 Atlanta lead in the 6th. JT Realmuto at the plate. Realmuto, an active night. Infield hit, scored a run, and walked.
Good to have JT back. He had that bruise on the left hand, the palm near the bottom, where you catch a lot of pitches. So it really affected him a little more catching than hitting. So good to have him back.
Miami got their first run in the 2nd. Realmuto, after his infield hit, he scored on Cole Gillespie's double. And then Gillespie with an infield hit with the bags loaded and 2 outs in the 3rd. Knocked home Casey McGee. Atlanta has been very deliberate about scoring their runs as well. Single runs in the 1st. the 2nd, and the 5th. Those 2 scores involving the Mets and the Nationals are holding up. Nationals continue to lead the Rockies 4-1, bottom 6. And the Mets trail the Rays 5-4, bottom 7. Hot smash. Garcia got a piece and throws him out. That's a heck of a play by an Adonis Garcia.
I'll tell you what, he has shown a strong throwing arm. He knocked that ball down. He remembered the speed of Real Muto, so he knew he had to fire quickly and put something on it. He did, all the way across the diamond. Good play by Adonis Garcia.
You were talking about the Phillies. They're in San Diego tonight. There's a lot of ceremonies around baseball tonight. It's Randy Johnson night. The Diamondbacks have Randy Johnson emblems on their cap. The baseballs actually have a Randy Johnson emblem that they're using in the game, as Arizona and Cincinnati have just started. And I believe Dick Enberg being honored tonight. San Diego, the Phillies, and the Padres. That ceremony just finishing up.
Very nice. I thought you were going to tell me the baseball in those Randy Johnson games has a mullet on it.
That was my favorite thing from Randy Johnson's speech. He said, "I no longer throw hard." There's a liner to left, deep, born back, and he makes the catch. "I no longer throw hard. I no longer have a mullet, and I no longer have a scowl."
which he usually did on the mound, even off the mound.
Yeah, believe me. He was not an easy interview in his Seattle days. Stay social with the Marlins at Fox Marlins on Twitter and Instagram. Exclusive behind-the-scenes Miami Marlins coverage straight from your Fox Sports Florida telecast. Action in that Braves bullpen.
With the way a couple of the innings went for Fultonevich, I think we're all surprised that here he is still pitching. One more out, he'll get through the 6th inning.
He's retired 9 straight since the Gillespie hit in the 3rd. There's a base hit. Echeverria to right. A 2-out hit. And Tom Kohler comes up.
Well, he's walked 3, and remember, those were all in a row in the 3rd inning. If not for the pitcher coming up, he might not be in there now.
97 pitches. Well, now he's gone 3-0 on Kohler, and I think you're right. If this wasn't Kohler, he might not be facing him, and if he loses Kohler, we doubt he faces Gordon. Strike. So he gets a couple strikes. Certainly has taken something off. That was 89 miles an hour. Echeverria on the move from first. The Marlins played one of those extra inning games where it was a lopsided score, that Padre Marlins finish. Texas beat Seattle 11-3 in 11 innings. They won by 8 in extra innings. That's in. Kohler walks, and we'll see if that's the end of the road for Foltynewicz. And that was in. And here comes Freddie Gonzalez. So D. Gordon will see a fresh arm. With runners first and second. Ross Detweiler is coming in. And this West Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. Foltynewicz out of the ball game. Ross Detweiler arrives, and he's in here with 2 outs and a runner at first and at second. Echeverria at second. Tom Kohler's at first, and D. Gordon getting ready to face Detweiler.
Saw Detweiler just for a third of an inning in the ball game last night. Gave up a base hit to D. Gordon, but then picked him off.
Toyota trend, last 15 games, the Braves 5-10, 8-18 since July 8th. They were at an even 500, and they're 5-10 in their last 15, and 2 of those wins came in the last 2 nights at Miami's expense.
Well, you talk about struggles. The Marlins 5-16 since the All-Star break.
Oh, 0-1 to Gordon. Average sitting at 327. Chopper to short. Simmons hurrying, goes the short way, and gets Kohler at second. 3-2 Braves.
Take a look at D. Gordon. He was able to have some fun before today's game, and that's because he had his cousin Jay with him at the ballpark. D was able to show Jay around. He took him in the clubhouse. He had him swing at some pitches, even had Jay answer some questions from the media, all while wearing the same uniform. And how about this? Jay even sat through the rain on Friday to come out and watch his cousin play. And guys, it's always nice for these players to have family in the crowd, and no question that today was a special day for Jay as well.
Jesse was sort of like his press secretary down there, wasn't he?
He really was. He really was.
D. Gordon and the Marlins here in Atlanta and down 3-2. There you go, Tommy. I'm not looking. Don't look into those eyes. Now, they used to light up. They were like red and angry. And I think the mad cow jokes, they nixed the lights in the red eyes. Bottom six.
Kyle Schwarber.
Nick Swisher in the box. Jace Peterson. Adonis Garcia. Due up. And Kohler misses with a breaking ball. Almost looked like Swisher in that at bat was looking up at his picture.
You know, he does that. That's a routine he goes through.
You're right. I forgot about that.
He always looks. See, look at him. He always looks to the heavens.
You know what? You're right. I had forgotten all about that.
Yeah. You know, he had a stretch from 2005 through 2013. A 9-year stretch where he averaged 25 home runs and 81 RBIs. Very productive player, and certainly with that high on-base percentage all the time as well.
Rolls it up the middle. Gordon, nifty stop. Great play by D. Gordon. Getting Swisher. First out in the sixth. Last 5 for the starters. It has not been great. An average of just 4 innings per start, and that includes Jose Fernandez 5 innings last start. That's the bad news. The good news is Tom Kohler is still standing here with 1 out in the bottom of the 6th.
Well, that's one thing, and we mentioned it earlier that Tom Kohler's been able to do. He gives you six or more innings so far this year in 15 of his 20 starts. So if he makes it through this 6th inning, it'll be 16 of 21 starts. He's given up the 3 runs tonight.
Prado, that's a nice play.
But Kohler's also had 9 starts this year where he's gone 6 or more innings and given up 2 earned runs or fewer. All in one motion, a pick, a little spin over to Casey McGee.
There is Swisher, and just to finish that story, his grandparents, Betty Swisher and Donald, that's part of how he honors them. His grandmother helped raise him. Into center field, Adonis Garcia. I remember that story from, I want to say 4 years ago, when it was 3 years ago when he was an Indian or still a Yankee. And the Marlins saw him in interleague play. We haven't seen a whole lot of him in his career.
You can see the knees still not 100%, watching him run up the line.
Simmons now after the Garcia base hit. Kohler chases him back. 88 pitches for Tom Kohler.
Simmons had a right thumb injury that kept him out for 6 games.
Kohler walks to the back of the mound, tried to collect himself. He's fallen behind here 2-0. Now 3-0 to a guy that's really tough to walk.
Yeah, 29 strikeouts, 28 walks for Andrelton Simmons this year.
Joey Turdoslavich is on deck. Outside corner. And it's up, and Kohler loses him. Turdoslavich, who we've seen in the starting lineup in the first 2 games, now to the plate, and runners at first and second. JT Realmuto out.
Andrew McCarahan loosening up.
Turdoslavich was getting time at first with Freddie Freeman's second trip to the disabled list. His first this year was his first ever. And so now Swisher arrives, and you would think both would give way certainly to Freeman when he's back. A swing and a miss.
Which leads you to believe, with a healthy Freddie Freeman, who usually plays 160 games, where does that leave Swisher? Where's he going to play? I mean, at this point in his career, if his knees don't get back in shape, it's going to be tough to put him in the outfield.
1-1. 1-2. Mike Dunn in Miami's bullpen. You got Michael Bourne on deck. Good breaking ball. And a nice finish for Tom Kohler in the 6th. Braves up a run, 3-2 in Atlanta. Fun time in Atlanta for Braves fans. They've taken the first 2 of the series. Tom Kohler going 6 innings, giving up the 3 runs on 7 hits, and a nice finish to push through and get through that 6th. Martin Prado, Christian Yelich, Casey McGee, Andrew McCarrahan out of the pen. And he throws a strike to Prado. McCarrahan's numbers, got his first major league win on Thursday night in that 9-8 Braves win. Prado bangs it on the ground. Simmons gets the out at first. Fish Family, the exclusive loyalty program of Marlin fans. To learn more, log in. Go to marlins.com/Fish Family. Your bonus code tonight is bullpen. And that's where Mike Dunn is continuing his warm-up tosses.
I would hope the bullpens in their new ballpark are a little more visible. They're kind of hidden from our view. I mean, we get camera shots into the bullpens.
You know, we saw the artist rendering 3D view of SunTrust Park, but I did not notice where the bullpens were. I think they're actually in the Cobb Galleria. They've replaced the skating rink, and shoppers can watch the relievers warm up, and they'll just cart them over in one of those bullpen carts
that they used to have. There's a base hit for Christian Yelich. And all of a sudden, with that, he represents the tying run.
You know, bullpens are an interesting development in terms of evolution of ballparks and where they've been placed, where they are now. There are just a handful that have them still in foul territory down the lines. Oakland, which is a multi-purpose, San Francisco, Wrigley Field. Bullpens used to be actually a little pitching rubber in front of a dugout. Casey McGee played in 2013 in Japan, and in many of the Japanese ballparks they have bullpens indoors. Bullpens actually where the batting cages are, and pitchers will warm up in those areas. And so remember when Toronto, the Skydome first opened up, you couldn't see their bullpens, but the new technology allowed for televisions inside the dugout so you could actually see not only your bullpen but the opponent's bullpen. And that's what they have in Japan. That's caught, and a double play. Wow. Swisher made the catch, tumbled back over and caught the bag with his glove. And a brand new Brave makes a lot of friends in Atlanta with this play. To Georgia, the tradition here in Atlanta. Marlin fans, the Fan Express is back and can bring you straight to Marlins Park to book this luxury motor coach for your group. 305-480-2523 or email groups@marlins.com. Mike Dunn. Dunn into the ball game, and he arrives at the top of the order for the Atlanta Braves. Michael Bourne, Cameron Maybin, and Nick Markakis in a one-run game. 7 hits for Atlanta, 6 hits for Miami. Bourne takes up. If you're just joining us and you're saying, is this a game from 2012? What's Michael Bourne doing in a Braves uniform? The Braves and the Indians a trade yesterday. Bourne and Nick Swisher coming from Cleveland. Chris Johnson going from Atlanta to Cleveland.
Yeah, one of Bourne's all-star years, that 2012 season with Atlanta.
Bourne was hot. His last 15 games, he was hitting .360. And what has not really been a great year overall, he's hitting .246 and swiped 13 bases. So even though he's atop the order, he's not what he used to be. To left, Dietrich is there, and he makes the catch. On Wednesday, Marlins, Red Sox at 4:10. The franchise 4 will be recognized during the game. First 10,000 fans get a Marlins franchise 4 poster, courtesy of Star Cash and 1-2-3 lump sum. Secure your seats. Go to Marlins.com.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that play that ended the inning. The terrific play by Swisher, and then right there on the bag to get the double play. Christian Yelich, the runner. Remember last night, Yelich was at first. Justin Bohr hit a line drive. Remember the tricky slide that Yelich pulled off? He was able to get back that time. Really, on the last play, there's no way you can't get back. Because he's already coming back before Swisher catches it. It's just the fact that Swisher lands right on the bag.
Once Swisher had the ball and his left hand landed on the base, Yelich was out. Maybin a couple doubles tonight and 5 hits total in the series. He's 5 for 10. What do you see with his swing, Tommy Hutton, that is different from his time as a Marlin or a Padre?
He's condensed it a little bit. He shortened it up. You know, he had a tendency early in his career as a Marlin to get big with the swing. And I think there always was the hope that Cameron Maybin would be a 20-20 guy. But I don't think he's going to do that. So now you've got to readjust and change things a little bit with your approach.
Good breaking ball. Dunn snapped it off the back foot of Maybin. And there's 2 outs in the 7th.
Terrific slider. Couldn't hold back on that. That's just a perfect pitch. Maybin commits. You can see the grimace. Yeah, not going to hit that one.
Markakis swings and misses. Pitches in. Well, tonight the Rays were able to hold off the Mets. Tampa Bay beat the Mets 5-4. And it's good news for Washington, because Washington 2.5 games back to start is up 6-1 over Colorado. They can close within a game and a half. Wow, 7 hits for Markakis in this series.
I'll tell you the other good news for Washington tonight. They got Steven Strasburg back from the disabled list. 7 innings so far. 3 hits, 1 run, 12 strikeouts. No walks.
That's great news for him.
So they just had to send Doug Fister and place him in the bullpen.
A.J. Pierzynski. Markakis at first. Lifted foul and out of play. So there could be movement at the top if Washington wins. They'd be a game and a half behind the Mets. We're talking about the Marlins in the basement. The Phillies, as hot as they've been, and the Marlins are now dead even. And the Phillies have scored first in San Diego. It's 2-0 in the top of the second. Pierzynski trying to lift and separate on that swing. 13 straight for the veteran catcher. Up in the air, Real Muto for a look.
So here's a guy in A.J. Pierzynski. He's 38 years old, coming into this season, and he's played a lot of ball. His longest hitting streak had been 10 games.
Throw to first. As well, in his career, he hit 300 early with the Twins. 312, a 300 season, and was 300 against the White Sox.
Defensively, caught Philip Humber's perfect game and Mark Burley's no-hitter.
Two and two. Not well liked in Anaheim. Remember that postseason game in which he swung and missed and maintained he foul-tipped the ball, and after much debate, when he trotted down to first, that went foul back to the screen. It turned out to be a key moment in that series. Pierzynski also some broadcasting work for Fox.
A little postseason work.
2-2. And he has really hurt the fish in this series. 2 hits tonight. Pulls that through the hole into right field. And a couple of 2-out hits for the Braves.
Well, the 2 veteran left-handed hitters who came into this series with streaks continue to get base hits, continue their streaks. Nick Markakis and A.J. Pierzynski. So the back-to-back hits off the lefty Mike Dunn from left-handed hitters. Pierzynski, and prior to that, Markakis.
So it's Swisher, who has made his Braves debut tonight. 0 for 2. His first at bat from this side of the plate. And a strike. It's tough to recover, even though it's arthroscopic surgery. It's still tough to recover from that surgery on one of your knees. He had it on both of his knees this past season. To left center and deep. Dietrich at the wall, won't get it, off the wall, picks it up. Markakis will score, Pierzynski will score, and Swisher gives a tomahawk chop out on second base.
He's already got this crowd under control. Once he reached second, he turned around, looked at the crowd, gave it the tomahawk chop. So Nick Swisher with a terrific play at first base last inning. A lot of hang time on this. Catchable, tough play. Still adjusting in the outfield is Derek Dietrich.
Now Peterson, 5-2 Atlanta.
When all coming after 2 out.
Markakis, Pierzynski, they've tormented Miami in this series, in this season. Remember, Markakis was the hero in that opening series in Miami. Pierzynski's homer against Tom Kohler early in the year. There's a strike. Mike Dunn touched for 2 runs here in the 7th. One, two, and it's out. Full count. Brian Ellington. A swing and a miss. Peterson goes down. Inning is over. But the Braves tack on 2 and lead it 5-2.
fun here in Atlanta, and as part of the festivities, the Braves team that won the 1995 World Series was honored before the game. Also, the first 25,000 fans that showed up at the ballpark tonight, they got one of these, a World Series championship replica ring. And guys, take a look at this. This is pretty cool. I thought that the Randy Johnson bobblehead in Arizona was pretty legit, but this ring is solid as well.
Yeah, it is. 1995. That long run of postseason trips, that the lone World Series championship. It was a special year here in Atlanta in 95.
And doing it with division titles. They weren't wild card teams. They were winning the division all those years.
Well, you've got a basketball team that's never won an NBA title, right? You've got a football team that's never won the Super Bowl. And you've got a baseball team that was in the postseason a lot. You can see all the years that they were in there. 95, their world championship. Dietrich fouls it into the glove of Pierzynski. And McCarahan gets a strikeout to open up the 8th. So that World Series is quite special to everyone in this area.
Yeah, it really is. And it also makes you think about the 2 world championships of the Marlins. Being a wild card team, never having won a division, but winning the 2 World Series in 97 and 03.
2 NHL teams that I don't think won the Stanley Cup and left up the middle. Peterson gets it. Real Muto is out number 2. All right, the winner, strong fan photo, hashtag FL Data Strong, brought to you by T-Mobile, Alexis. It's brought to you by T-Mobile.
Well, one guy who's had a nice night has been Cole Gillespie. An RBI double in the second, singled. Picked up an RBI.
The best ball he hit was the line drive to the warning track and left in the 6th. Well, he's 2 for 3.
The Marlins face a tough right-hander tomorrow in Shelby Miller. An ERA at 2.44, but a 5-8 record. Remember Justin Bohr breaking up the Shelby Miller no-hitter in the 9th inning.
Ball and 2 strikes. So the Pirates beat the Dodgers 6-5. That was a back and forth ball game. Jam shot. Gillespie pops it to Peterson, who makes the catch, and the Marlins go down in order in the 8th. It's 5-2 Atlanta. Vision Camp focused on defense tonight. Christian Yelich robbing extra bases in the gap out in center. Martin Prado, maybe the best play of the night. D. Gordon, nice pick and slide. Got the man at first. Some more great defense. Look at that, a two-man job there. The hammer, the drill, the brush, all in cahoots, while the bucket would win the tool race. Adonis Garcia, Andrelton Simmons, and Mike Fontenevich. Brian Ellington.
We've seen Brian Ellington now a number of times, and talking to him the other day in the clubhouse, because we've seen an electric fastball, saw a really good curveball right there, in between curve slider, probably a slider. But he threw some changeups his last time out, and I was talking to him about that, and he said it's a pitch that, and it was really interesting how he put it, in the minor leagues he was trying to work on it and develop it, but he really didn't need it to get outs because his fastball and slider were good enough to get minor league hitters out.
Here's Garcia, who has singled twice. And it's amazing, too, because as hard as he throws now, and here he is in the big leagues, he couldn't throw much at all when he got out of high school, just had Tommy John surgery, and was trying to make the ball club at Florida State. He even tried throwing sidearm to get some velocity back, and that didn't work. Liner to left. It's a base hit. Dietrich ventures to the wall. And Adonis Garcia has a 3-hit night. Cuban third baseman.
Tell you what, he's had a 3-hit night, and he's made some nice defensive plays, too. Got that fastball count. Fastball kind of tailed in.
Simmons the hitter. And Ellington at that point thought maybe his baseball dreams were over. He went to a couple of junior colleges and didn't pitch well there. That is down the line, and Simmons will not get a run. Adonis Garcia will score. Simmons has a double, and the Braves have an extra run here in the bottom of the 8th. 2 doubles to open up the 8th. And here is Johnny Gomes.
First time we've seen Johnny Gomes in this series.
Gomes takes out. Well, for now, Gomes is kind of the veteran bat off the bench, with outfield time getting harder to secure with the arrival of Michael Bourne. Maben's nice season. He's out in center. Markakis is in right.
You wonder, Rich, if Gomes would be a right-handed bat.
Runner goes, and the breaking ball's in. And an easy stolen base for Andrelton Simmons.
We've seen this happen way too much. You get in a game where it's just like everybody forgets there's the runner at second base. You still have to keep an eye on him. You still have to check him. And it's not just on a young pitcher. It's on the middle infielders. It's on the catcher.
Off of Echeverria's glove and into left. Gomes delivers a pinch hit.
But my question was, I wonder if a contending team looking for a veteran right-handed bat here in the month of August for the rest of the year, if you could see Johnny Gomes moving on.
Oh, you got to think that Gomes is thinking that, right? And he's so well liked wherever he's been, whether it's Oakland, with the Rays.
When all of a sudden 3 consecutive hits.
As part of that World Championship in Boston. Michael Bourne is 0 for 4. Into center. That's a hit. Gomes will stop at second. 4 consecutive hits against Brian Ellington here in the 8th.
First hit for Bourne as a Brave. Sneaks it under the glove of Ellington and just out of the reach of D. Gordon.
Chuck Hernandez on his way out to the mound. This has been a tough day for the Marlins in a season of tough days. They're down 7-2. On the verge of losing their 6th straight. It would be 13 of their last 15. And on a day where Jose Fernandez flew back to Miami to have his right shoulder examined after experiencing shoulder stiffness. First and second, nobody out. Time call. Bourne trying to get a sliding pad on one of his hands. Johnny Gomes at second. Bourne's at first. And here's Maben, who's doubled twice. 42,544 on this Saturday night. And at 5 o'clock, I would say over half of this crowd was in their seats.
Yeah, they wanted to see that alumni softball game. It was, I'll tell you what, as celebrity softball games or alumni softball games go, it was a very good one because there were still enough players out there that were young enough and athletic enough to make some good plays.
Andrew Jones was in center field. He did not need a rover.
No.
He could still go get him. And he hit one out.
Rafael Belliard made some nice plays in the infield.
John Smoltz turning 2 as a shortstop. He said he just ran out there and played. I'm sure he engineered that. He was our guest earlier tonight. A lot of fun to have him in. One of the highlights was a pinch running appearance by the son of Mike Mordecai.
Well, Morty got a base hit, of course, line drive. And then his son, on the next hit, scampered over to third. First to third, got a good jump.
And I forget who was playing third, whether it was Charlie Leibrandt or some old Brave. tried the hidden ball trick on the youngster, and he didn't fall for it. He saw it in the glove. 3-1. Maybe a chopper in the hole at short. Echeverria an out at second. And so a fielder's choice gives Ellington his first out. Now he goes after Nick Markakis, who's had the biggest series of all for the Braves in 3 games, 7 hits, and 6 RBIs. But it's not Ellington who will face him. (7-2). Atlanta on top. This is a West Kendall Toyota. Call to the bullpen. But he's actually out in right field. Chris Narveson, veteran lefty, who had a nice appearance to start his Marlin campaign, is into the ball game for the Fish.
Well, a rough outing for Brian Ellington, his first one since joining the ball club.
Nick Markakis digs in for Atlanta. A 15-game hitting streak. Markakis has blasted right through that 300 level. He's hitting at 303 now.
Well, he came into this season 10 years, a major leaguer, a 290 lifetime average. So he's generally right around there.
Ball and a strike. 3 hits tonight, 7 in the series. 7 for 12. 6 driven in, and the series ends tomorrow night. It's at hard. Echeverria flips there. Gordon's turn is in time, and Narveson gets the double play and ends the 8th. Braves add on 2 more. It's 7-2. Your South Florida Honda dealers by Hialeah Park Racing and Casino. For more information on our 2-year anniversary on August 14th and 15th, go to HialeahParkCasino.com. Downtown Atlanta all lit up on a Saturday night, 7-2. Braves on top. David Aardsma. First in your heart, first in the phone book. For those of you older at home, please explain to the younger crowd what a phone book is.
Also, if you look into that baseball encyclopedia, let's see, would he be right after or just ahead of Aaron? He'd be ahead of Henry Aaron.
Checkers brings you Marlins Live. Craig in studio. Markakis, Fish Killer. And of course, clubhouse reaction. Not only to this ball game, but the news of the day as well. Reports out of New Orleans are that Marcell Ozuna was removed from that game in the 4th inning, not because of an injury. So certainly the hope is that Ozuna is on his way to join the Marlins. Runs have been really tough to come by in this stretch. And if the Marlins drop this game, they will have lost 13 of their last 15. So anybody with a bat that is swinging it, and certainly Ozuna has done that, that could help. Aardsma gets a strike. Echeverria leading it off. Ichiro's on deck. He came in the double switch. And then D. Gordon. And a walk. A leadoff walk here in the 9th. And so here comes Ichiro, who all of a sudden is on the upswing with a 6-game hit streak. 7 hits in those 6 games. Some of those have been starts, some of those have been pinch hit appearances. And with that, he's upped his hit total up to 2,908.
Yeah, you talked, Rich, about Marcell Ozuna. The other thing that Ozuna always has, and this is why you hope when he comes back he continues to swing the bat the way he has been in AAA, because he always brings that energy. He's an energy type player, and if ever there is a time the Marlins need that, it's right now.
D. Gordon, who is 0 for 4. Slowly to second out there, and that's it. Peterson backhanding to Simmons. And the Braves are an out away from picking up their 3rd consecutive win against the Marlins, moving their record to 51-60. The Braves entered this series on Thursday night, having dropped 11 of 14.
Boy, and the Marlins, Rich, will go to 43-68, 25 under 500.
Braves were Bumgarnered on Wednesday. Lost that game to the Giants and have won 2 straight and are on the verge of 3 straight against Miami. And to add to the struggles, as you documented, the Phillies, the hottest team in the East after the All-Star break, lead the Padres 3-0 in San Diego. Prado in the air to right. Markakis towards the line, and the Braves win it. Nick Markakis, a big night tonight for the Braves. 3 hits are H.H. Gregg high def highlights. 15 straight for Markakis, and an incredible series. 7 hits. He's driven in 6. Marlins Live postgame is coming up. We'll endeavor to visit with Markakis. 7-2 the final.